I did what a lot of realtors do. I enjoyed the freedom. I'd wake up at 8:30. I lived down on the canal. I'd run on the canal in the mornings, eat my breakfast, watch Sports Center, hang out, make my way to the Century 21 office around noon, forget my computer, go home and call it a day. And it's like all of a sudden, it was like August or September, and I remember looking at my bank account. I had no pendings, I had no clients, no clue, and I had enough money in my bank account to cover what 1 month's living was. And look, I was 25, living fast, going to Broader Bowl, you know, taking advantage of Kilroy's deals on Mondays and Tuesdays and Saturday. You know, we've all been there. And I had to get a loan from a friend. I had to move out of my canal apartment. And when I moved, the whole like mentality of like, I didn't have an option for a job. I was not going back to the quote unquote real world of corporate America. And I called a buddy. My buddy helped me move. And when he helped me move, he was like, man, I'm so embarrassed for you. This is pathetic. I can't, what's the matter with you? I was like, oh, while you're at it, I need $5,000 because I have no plan of money and I don't believe in credit card debt. And I couldn't have got a business loan. I couldn't have got anything because I didn't have any streams of income or sources of anything. And he gave me $5,000 and was like, get your stuff together. I don't care if you ever pay me back. I just want to see you do better. And I knew at that point, that was October of 2012. I knew like back was against the wall. And then it was like, I was stuffed in a corner big time at that point. And I stopped all the crap that I was doing. So I cut out going out. I cut out the fun. And I got really focused. I started doing tons of expired calls, tons of FSBO appointments, which those used to be very common back in 2012. And then all of a sudden my sphere, because I started cleaning up some of my personal behaviors, like my sphere started chipping in. And in the first half of 2020 or 2013, I could go back and look at the numbers, but by the end of like May, I'd done $4.5 million worth of business, taken a pretty nice chunk on that. Those were all self-generated leads by hustling. And I learned, man, you can be paid really, really well and you could build something really, really fast. And I used to say this, real estate is very easy. If you're passionate about what you do, you smile at people and you're super nice and you actually care and listen. And so in an industry where that is uncommon, which is unbelievable, people making the biggest investments in the world, all you got to do is be nice and care about them and legitimately do it. And you make a nice living. I knew at that point, it was like, stay this course, stick to this path, just keep shaking hands and just keep moving. And I think I'm onto something here.
I love it. That the silence is because that story is so powerful, because the discipline that we don't see on the daily, even with our own team, not anybody on our team currently, but the people that have left and come back and been like, wait, you didn't help me. You didn't help me fulfill the 6-figure journey.
Yep.
And it's like, you showed up with no discipline.
Yeah, it is. Look, there used to be a guy when I worked at Century 21, and he would take this huge whiteboard and he'd write all this stuff on it. It was like 13, 14, 15 sources of generating a lead in a transaction in real estate. And he was like, be really good at like 3 or 4 of them. And I remember I was like, well, I'm 25. I don't have this huge sphere of people that have disposable income to buy real estate. Real estate was not the conversation that it is today. I know you guys just did a deal with somebody, I think he was 19 years old. Like, that was not a huge thing back then. So it was like, what do I do? And the guy his name's Glenn Bill. Glenn runs a team in Washington Township, ton of success, another EXP team. And he was like, for sale by owners, expired listings, open houses, door knock, for sale by owner, FSBO, fastest source of business opportunity. Like, and I was broke, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was living on my buddy's money in my crap hole of a duplex. Like, what the heck am I doing? As a kid who, like, my parents shielded me from they created discipline and behavior, but they had no idea how stupid I was like acting. And so like I couldn't call them because my dad would have been like, tough, get a job. I don't care.
I think the most successful real estate agents are the ones that burn the ships and have to make it.
Yep.
But you find out what you're really made of. Either you have the self-discipline and the consistency and you're a good person and you do really, really well. I think Max and I both, when we decided to get into real estate, it was no, I'm going to do a part-time job and have this $2,500 a month coming in. No, like that absolutely just does not work. I quit my job making $40K as a teacher. No other income was coming in. Luckily, I'd sold my first house and had proceeds.
Yep.
Without that nice little piggy bank, which was not like unlimited, I had infinite motivation to just go out and burn a freaking path through the jungle.
Well, don't you remember? It was like anytime you get a check early on, it's like, okay, this pays for the rent, this pays for the car, and then a student loan payment. And then I got, okay, if I go out to Brothers on Tuesday, the drinks are only $1.50.
Yeah.
Like,
Sunday night.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
can get buckets for $10 at, wherever. But
Well, I remember thinking my first goal was to match my teacher salary and make $40K. And I was like, okay, it was like 10 homes or something silly, easy. And then by Q2 of that year, I was like, oh, we're in business. Like I've already made it.
Yeah.
And that's when the lights really went on of like, oh, I'm taking this fully.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The cheat code is buying your runway. I mean, I tried to get in 23 doing it part-time while operating the GNC business and then buying the GNC business. That's when it happened. Bought the GNC business, jumped out of the plane, no parachute.
Yeah.
Have this new company that's a baby, right? That needs to grow up on its own. And I'm like, I still want to chase after real estate. Yeah. And then you get the wheel going and you have to cash checks to be able to pay the SBA loan on the GNC plus the mortgage. It's
such a glamorous industry too from the outside looking in. I get more calls about wanting to be an agent than I do to buy a house, I think.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh, you're the self-development guy. You're going to help me be an agent. I'm like, sure, I'll take your call. I have to vet those now because it could be unlimited. But it's so glamorous. And they see the Instagram stories of me going to appointments and showing houses. And they think, oh, I can do that really quickly. They don't know the back end of like 90% of the time, I'm hungry as hell. And just waiting for that lead to pounce on, and not pounce on, that makes me sound like I'm, got to force them into something. But the variable income, the stress of having a mortgage and a kid, it's a lot.
Well, and
it's still very hard for me.
Well, and I think I saw something on Instagram and I've heard this thing, and you talked about burning the boats, but like as you get better, and I think we all do this in this room, I think that's why this conversation is good and why it's valuable for the room. And this is an easy conversation to have. But like in when you got in and all you had to do, the bar was a $40,000 a year salary. And then you attained it. And then what'd you do? You raised the bar and you raised the bar again. And I think that is like beyond mountains, there are more mountains to continue to conquer, and there always will be. And so the day you hit your number financially or the biggest goal you have as a realtor, look, goals are just roadmaps. Like whether you hit them or not, that's a different conversation we can all have. But that's not what the point is. Are you staying on the path? Are you still working towards what your promises are and delivering on the things that you say you're going to do? And that's what makes good entrepreneurs great, and it makes others average or poor.